Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today, and I have a video here for a documentary that I finally got a copy of. I've wanted to see for probably 10 years now, and I just kept waiting off, but I finally grabbed it up probably 2 months ago, probably September I want to say. But this was really cool. It's part of a franchise that I love so much. I've loved since I was a kid. Probably the first horror franchise I ever saw. I don't know, outside of Goosebumps. And this movie is called Halloween 25 Years of Terror from 2006. This covers every film from the original 78 John Carpenter classic all the way up to Halloween Resurrection, one of the ones that I watched over and over again as a kid. The Rob Zombie films are not included in here, being released the year before his first remake, but he's also interviewed in the movie, which was kind of cool. By the way, this little film came, even though it wasn't a brand new copy, it was in perfect condition. Everything from the outside box to the inside box, the discs, everything. It came with a comic book called Halloween Autopsis, which I've never heard of, never read, so I'm hoping that's pretty good. I read the Halloween Night Dance comic years ago, and that was not good at all. It was from the guy who directed and wrote this, by the way. But anyway, Halloween 25 Years of Terror is a documentary that's probably out of date at this point because of how long it's been. This is almost 20 years old at this point. But I still wanted to see it because I had heard so many good things over the many years, like I said, probably 10 years at this point, from people like Rambo Raff for Life, one of my favorite YouTubers ever, talking about how this was pretty cool for what it was. But an hour-and-a-half long movie is not enough time in my opinion. Even though this predates Camp Crystal Lake Memories and Never Sleep Again as documentaries for Friday and Nightmare on Elm Street, this predates those. You only had an hour and a half, and if it was a fan-made movie, you had even less budget to try to do what you could to get info about this franchise. So it's not a lot of time dedicated to each of those, 8 movies? Is that the case? Yeah, 8 films. It's real quick. I mean, that's not even like a full 10 minutes about each movie. And some of them, they have a lot more to say about them than others, and a lot of the interviews done for the movie are archival footage from the people that would probably matter most to normies like Jamie Lee Curtis, Jamie Lee Curtis fucking hates Halloween. She's obnoxious. I can't stand that broad. She's embarrassed by Halloween, even though it's the only reason anybody knows her, not because of her mom being Janet Leigh. I don't like her, but her interviews are entirely archival footage here because this is before she was willing to do anything and come back again. John Carpenter's footage, who is also just like above everything if it doesn't give him a ton of money. I believe his was all archival footage. But then you have people like my boy Tommy Lee Wallace, the director of Part 3, who I love. I love Tommy Lee Wallace. Having him come back for this, seeing interviews with some other people like Danielle Harris, who I think was for sure interviewed for this. I don't think it was archival footage when they're talking about 4 and 5. And when you had you had different people, like the original Tommy Doyle come back. Paul Rudd was not a part of this, which makes sense. But you had a lot of people on here that I knew from New Line Cinema. I think it was Jeff Katz, is that guy's name? He's in everything I've ever seen. Reality show, like I Love the 80s type things, you know? He's usually in a lot of these documentaries about Friday and Halloween and Nightmare, which is cool, because I like him. I think he seems like a pretty cool dude. But it was interesting seeing some of the stuff. I really didn't learn much of anything I didn't know already, to be honest with you. It was cool hearing some of the behind-the-scenes stories from people like Tommy Lee Wallace that didn't get a lot of screen time, but when he was there, it was cool, especially about Halloween 3, one of the best, most underrated films in the franchise that finally seems to be getting its love nowadays. I liked the documentary, but like I said, I wish I had seen it back then, in 2006, and I wish it had more time and more budget to do more and go more in-depth with things. It was cool hearing some of the behind-the-scenes things about, Mustafa Akkad's opinions on what he did with Halloween 5 and the choices made there, and that piece of shit movie. That stuff was pretty fascinating to me as a hardcore fan for the most part. Even though it's not my favorite of the big 3 franchises, that would be Nightmare on Elm Street for anybody who cares. But it was interesting. I liked it. It just didn't have enough in it, and I feel like there's so much more to delve into about this franchise and these movies. I cannot believe we do not have a full-fledged documentary yet, like in the vein of Never Sleep Again and Camp Crystal Lake Memories, that's more than this, you know? I mean, especially in recent years, look, you had the Rob Zombie films, then you had the David Gordon Green trilogy, which, you know, I like 2018 a lot. I think it's really good. I'd even say I dare love it. Halloween Kills, easily the best of that trilogy. And then you have Halloween Ends, which is, that's the knife in the back, man. Fucking terrible movie for a Halloween film. But I would love to see all of those things covered, or see like a Halloween 50 Years of Terror or something at some point. But anyway, with all that being said, I don't really have much more to say than the interviews themselves when they're shot by the people making this, when it's not archival footage, even when it is archival footage. Those things are well shot. They're in nice focus and whatever. The lighting is nice. But outside of that, there's not a whole lot to say about documentaries, you know? I liked it. It's not perfect. It's not everything I want all these years later, nor do I think it's basically timeless like Never Sleep Again and Crystal Lake Memories, which, to be fair, we haven't had anything outside of those remakes for those two franchises, so right now, they're still up to date, you know, all these years later, until I guess the Friday TV show comes out and stuff. This has been way out of date for, like I said, about 20 years now. So it was interesting. It was interesting seeing Rob Zombie try to pretend to be a Halloween fan, you know? I love Rob Zombie, but it's just the truth, man. Even though I like Halloween 2's remake, I fucking hate the 2007 one for the most part. So anyway, have you seen 25 Years of Terror? Have you read Autopsis, the comic book inside of here? There's a lot of bonus features on this second disc, by the way. Really cool to have all of that there. I might delve into more of that later on, but a lot of it looks like stuff I've already seen before from like the Scream Factory releases in recent years for 4K. But anyway, I would love to hear everything you have to say about this movie down below. If you are a big Halloween fan, was this, if you saw it at the time when it came out, was this a big deal in the community? I've heard about it for so long, but I never talked to anybody who got to see it when it released and tell me about whether it was such a big, humongous deal or not. I'd love to hear that from you folks down below who saw it back in the day. Let me know. So anyway, if I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, for when it came out, I would give it like a 4 out of 5 stars. It's well made. That's all I can ask for. It was entertaining. It has a lot of humor to it, which was cool. But it's out of date. A lot of people are not going to care about this enough unless they know nothing about the franchise. Unless there's somebody like my mom who never looked into behind the scenes stuff. I think she would like something like this and find it super interesting. But again, the basic Halloween fan who has looked into anything behind the scenes about any of the movies are going to have a lot of this already covered for you, you know? And they don't really do anything like sit down and beat the movies apart aside from Halloween 5. Like, they don't shit-talk Resurrection because that was only a few years old at this point. The people who were involved who made that were still around, you know? That's a shame because I don't like Resurrection and thinking it's a good movie, but I grew up on it, like I said, so I kind of like it in some respects that way nostalgically, but as a movie, it's got problems. They should have tore it apart. Anyway, or even Halloween 6 for that much. They really didn't tear that one apart all that much. So a lot of these deserved it more than just Halloween 5, and they did not do that. So anyway, again, 4 out of 5 stars for me based on the period when it came out. I think it's good for when it came out. Now it's just a fine movie, so thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. What's your favorite franchise documentary? There's so many out there about like Return of the Living Dead. Like I said, the other two for Freddy and for Jason. Mine is probably always going to be Never Sleep Again. That is magnificent, man. I could rewatch that. I've probably seen that like 5 or 6 times at this point because I love it so much. So anyway, I recommend those types of things. I love documentaries in general. But yeah, thank you all for watching again. God bless you all. Catch you later, and goodbye.